All right, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Let's take a look and see what is going on with Bitcoin today. Coming into our daily candle, it looks like we got rejected off of that 60,622 area that I've had on here for a while. Just cannot seem to get above it. That's not a very good sign for the bulls. Um, we've been bouncing around here for the past couple of days, trying to get above it for the most part for the past, I would say until Friday. We kind of front ran it on Sunday, but we just cannot seem to get above that level. And if you take a look at the weekly, we just very cleanly broke the 200 on the weekly. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that there is a good possibility that we are going lower, right? How much lower? I am not 100% sure, but this is not a great sign. If we were to get a death cross with the 21 crossing, the 200 here, um, you have to assume that then we would go to the next timeline up, which would be the 2 week chart, and that takes us all the way down to, I don't even know if this one shows it. Yeah, I'd have to pull up, let's see, let's try this one. This one is, I believe, on Kraken here. This one have it? Nope, this one doesn't. So most of these don't have it. Let me try to pull up maybe a Binance chart and see if we have it on here. Yeah, so that takes us to 43,122. If we were to get a death cross on the weekly. Now, the reason why I say, and put a lot of emphasis on the death cross is because there is a possibility that if we don't get this death cross, that we kind of consolidate for a couple more weeks here and then we bounce. The death cross is going to be really important for us to get that continuation to the 2 week. I am still not, it's hard for me to just want to kind of blindly follow the crowd. I know a lot of people are calling for 30K now and 40K. I agree. I do agree that the liquidity is there, right, for 40K, and I've been outspoken about that. But, for the most part, when it comes to, where we might be bottoming, when we do bottom, it's going to be like this previous bear market. We're not going to really know, and it's going to take weeks for us to bottom. I mean, look at this right here. I think I've showed you guys this before. Starting on June 2022, it looks like we've been bottoming till October, right? I mean, look at this. This is ugly. But then it drops for November and then actually truly bottoms and then it comes back up. We could be doing this exact same thing. We could potentially be kind of hovering in this area for a long time until we, finally even get that, death cross on the weekly, and then we fall, right? We take that dump one more time. We fall. This was what, about $5,000 fall right here this week. So this pattern, just know guys, is definitely possible. And you're looking at, a multi-week, pattern here. This was from June 2022 all the way to January of 2023 when we finally, really truly bottomed. So it's not going to be obvious that it's going to be like where retail is going to be like, hey, we've bottomed, or, there's going to be experts saying that we've bottomed. It's going to be a very long and drawn out process. Since we are in a true bear market and we know that, it's not going to be quick. Okay. So just wanted to make you guys aware of that. Just be aware that it's going to be very difficult to call when the actual bottom is in. Um, so looking at the daily, we already went through this. We're now, treating 60,622 as resistance. The 12-hour, let's see. So we're bouncing off of 58,998 once again. So just kind of staying within this range between 60,622 and 58,998. We've been, closing candles within this range for the past, so many days since Thursday, it looks like, June 25th. So this is kind of our range for right now. It's a very tight range. It's hard to make money out of a range that's this tight within a, not even $2,000. Um, so 8 hour getting rejected off of the 21, looking bearish. 4 hour, again looking bearish, also getting rejected off of the 21 right there. Um, the hourly, yeah. So I mean, here's the thing, guys. This was going to be my bounce point from yesterday, right? And we did get a move off of it eventually. It was very slow paced. It didn't give a lot of violence. But it did offer, an opportunity from going from 58,998, 59,000 I would call it, all the way up to 60,740. That gave you, a 1740 move. You would have to hold through it, and this was extremely ugly. But if you were to just set it and forget it, that would have offered you a move as long as you were to take profit once you got, up here around. I would have honestly, I would have taken profit around the 60,622 probably right here. Once we got up there, I did, basically do this ride. I wrote it up about, gosh, it was, I want to say up to like this candle right here, something like that. And then I put my stop into profit because I didn't catch the actual. I was like a little bit above it. But I did put my stop into break even right here. And then it came and got my stop. So I really didn't I didn't make anything off of that trade, because I had fees, of course. So I didn't want to hold it through here because it literally revisited. When you see a move like this off of a 786, you just want to see violence right away, and we just didn't get that. It just kept on hovering around this area and then finally exploded. But you would have had to endure that for a good 4 or 5 hours before it actually started going up, which is too long for something like that. Um, so it's, you can tell. I mean, we're not in a bullish environment just yet. That move normally would play out. It would launch. It would cross the 200 on the hourly. It's just not. It's not ready to do that yet, which is fine. Um, so what are we doing? Well, one thing that's kind of sketchy to me is that we kind of ran out this quadruple top right here, right? We ran it out yesterday, and then it just tanked from there. So this is bearish. I mean, this is extremely bearish. You're running out a double top or triple top, whatever you want to call it, quadruple top, and then you're falling down. Um, where am I targeting? Well, honestly, until this shows a lot of, energy on in a bounce wise, I'm targeting 57.3. I'm targeting all the way down here. Could we bounce from 57.8? Sure, right? We could bounce from here, but I'm gonna keep these lines on my chart because I am targeting 57.3. I have a limit order around 57.5 because I'm gonna front run it just in case, but I am still targeting 57 area for right now, especially because of that weekly close as well. But I this is sketchy to me. This is like a triple bottom around 58.6, and the market loves to take out double, triple bottoms, quadruple bottoms, as well as it likes to take out double, triple, quadruple tops, right? And we've just been wrecking both sides. This is what you call a seek and destroy profile, where you're just wrecking both sides of the market and not doing anything. You're just staying within, a few $1,000 range, and you're just destroying people's emotions here. So we've been in that, right, since, it looks like we've been doing that since Thursday. We're just seeking destroying everybody. So I mean, it's a low probability weekend as well. So, you got Thursday, which is a low probability day in general, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, now to Monday, all low probability days of a big move. So, just, it shows it's just wrecking people right now. Um, and then finally, we look at the 15 minute. So the 15 minute, still showing the same thing. Um, you know, Odds are that we at least take out 58.6. If not, if this doesn't hold again, which already held about, three different times. And I've told you guys, the more times that you touch a zone, or touch a support line, the more likely that it's going to eventually break, right? So this is more likely to break the next time we hit this right here, because we've hit it about 4 different times. So anyways, guys, that is what I'm seeing, without looking at liquidity, through trading different, but let's go ahead and move to that right now. So taking a look at trading different, actually, let's go ahead and move on to the daily real quick, see where we're at on a bigger time frame. So let's see, let's check off all these boxes. All right, perfect. So yeah, I mean, we're still showing, a lot of green to the, lower 50s, around 53, which would take us to that value area low around 54, I believe. So it'd be basically this would be taking us below that. I do want to see 54 hold if we were to break 57.3. I do want to see 54, I think it was 54.7, let's double check. But I do want to see that hold. I don't want to see that broken because then we're going to be entering a new range. So I want to see 54.727 hold as our kind of line in the sand before we start getting into the 40s. If this breaks, guys, I really do think that we're going to probably go into the 40s. So you may want to have this on your charts, 54.727, along with my other levels I've been talking about, like 58, 59,000, 58.6, 57.818, 57.292. And then to the upside, you got 59.7, 60,189, 60,622, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these levels seem to be playing out really well. You can see the markets, the candles reaction off of these levels, right? Either as support or resistance. So um, I would leave those on your chart for now. You can pause this video and just kind of put those on. But this is kind of what I have on my chart right now. But anyways, so this does obviously look very likely 47.5. The only problem I have with it is that everybody's calling for 47.5. Um, you know, retail can be right, but it just maybe we consolidate in the 50s for a while. Who knows? But um, it's going to be very interesting to see where we start to really consolidate and kind of bottom out on a bigger time frame. On a macro scale, it'll start getting really interesting, and then it's getting even more frustrating because we're really not going to be range bound as much when we start to do that. So let's go ahead and drop into the 4 hour. So the 4 hour, really aligns with, the 57 idea, right? And then if we lose this, you can see how we could just quite literally drop to that value area low, right? 54.7, 53.810 was another area, right? So, and then 47K obviously is all the way down here. So we have three potential areas, right? We have that 57.3, we have the 54.7, 53 to 54.7, and then we have all the way down here to 47,000. I'm going to take this first shot for right now, see if we're going to bounce from here if we do get here, and then, go from there basically. But that's kind of my idea. So just checking off the 25x paints the bigger picture there. You can see that, this is basically the last of the big liquidity around 57. And then, there's a decent chance that we might get a bounce into the 62,000 at least area. I would be targeting probably to take profit around this double top. So after I, ride this, right, get my limit order hit, I'm going to basically target around 60,000, probably 60,008, 61,000. Um, let's see, I'll be probably targeting like 60, even 60,009 is perfect. So I'll probably be targeting the 60,973 area just to kind of front run it. This would be taking out a double top, kind of triple top. So I'll be targeting around 61,000. For that trade. So that's a bigger time frame trade. I'm just going to leave it alone. But that's basically what I'm looking at for this. Okay. The 1 hour. Let's take a look here. All right. So your hourly, you do look like you're starting to dive into this bottom pool right here. Let's see. Taking a look. Yeah. So I mean, you have 58 down here on the 50x. 100x has around 58.6. So, I mean, yeah, it looks like this is alluding to the fact that we might just be taking out a little bit, basically wiping out this double bottom and then possibly bouncing, but I don't trust it. I think we're going to probably be taking more of the 25x out down to 57 here and then providing that relief rally. And then the 15-minute. So 15-minute kind of shows the same thing, if you have 25x checked off, it shows that we can get down there. 50x and 100x allude to the fact that we could bounce off of that 58.6 level, but I'm still going to be targeting this. I'm not going to be playing around with this anymore. I'm targeting 57, 57.3, 57.5-ish, which is right in the middle of here. So 57.5 is going to be my limit order. It's going to take out most of this yellow liquidity, and then, I'll be waiting to take profit up above. On the 5-minute, same area, just more zoomed in. Yeah, it looks like that's the most probable move there. And then obviously you have this trend diff indicator showing that the daily is at a -1. So, your 4 hour and your 1 hour are kind of neutral right now, but your daily's at a -1. So that's what trend diff is showing. And then if you take a look at Kiyotaka here, which is our order book chart, you can see that we are starting to get orders up here to 60,000, but there's a lot more below, even leading us to 57.5 area, which is right where I have my order. 57.5 has the biggest order in between there. So this is down here is what I'm expecting, guys. I'm gonna keep targeting this until we actually hit it. This is most has the most potential for being taken out before we have any sort of relief into the 60s. um, you can see that, I'd basically be taking profit where I was saying 60,970. That's basically the start of this pool, which is, I personally believe, is a great place to take profit. You could, in theory, ride it up to 62,140. Again, though, guys, like, keep in mind, any of this stuff that I'm telling you guys is not financial advice. It's just levels that I watch and that I'm waiting for. So, do what you want with that information, right? Um, so anyways, that's what I'm seeing so far for the day. I'm gonna be waiting for this level. It's gonna be boring, but I am going to be patiently waiting for this. Um, let's see. Let's finally take a look at the simple map here. So the simple map. Let's see here. Let's take a look and see where we're at. So simple map does show. I mean, oh my goodness, look at how little of liquidity we actually have right now. That's crazy. That's just that this volume is just dead on the smaller time frames. Look at that. I mean, we're not even talking like this is like less than 100,000. That's like nothing. Um, wow. Okay. So obviously more to the downside just by a smidge, right? Slightly a little bit more until you start getting into, this down here into 58,000 range. But this tells you guys like why we're not seeing the market move tremendously. I mean, look at it's just the volume is just dried up. Nobody is trading right now. Look at this. There has to be people in the market for there to be, for the bots to want to take out and move this price action. There's just nobody. It's boring. You know, it's just nobody's trading Bitcoin right now. It's crazy. Anyways, I mean, it's to be expected because it's the summer. There's nothing really out of the ordinary, but usually you don't get it this low. I mean, this is very, very, very low volume. So I would expect, obviously, for this to be taken out first because it offers at least a million down here in 58 range. So you start to expand this out more. You can see getting to 57s is the multi-millions. So, it does allude to the fact that do you have a better chance of going that way than going this way, right? Because it takes you to about 60,960 to start getting into the couple millions, and there's a lot more to the downside than there is to the upside. So, you can even compare it. I mean, look at how much bigger this is than this, right? A lot more 10x, a lot more 25x. So this does tell me that, there's a better chance that this is going to get some of this is going to get taken out first, right? Which, is around the 57.5, 57.3 area. So this could easily be taken out first before we start moving up, right? That's what this is telling me. This is on the smaller time frames, your 5, your 15, your hourly. And then your 4 hour and your daily right here, you can see that, kind of painting that same picture. You don't have that much going up, right? You barely have anything going up. You have more so, more liquidity going down. I mean, look at the multi-hundred millions, right? As you start moving down on here. So 57.2 even look at 175.3 million in longs, right? So anyways, guys, both the smaller time frames, the bigger time frames, the charts, they're all saying that 57 is closer in the cards than anything else. To be patient, to wait for this area, it's going to be a lot of chop. It could take us a while to get down here. Could even take us to 4th of July weekend to get down here. But it's just not going to be a probable trading week for right now until we see more volume. You could wait and check, your Fed folders here. Let me see where we're at. So Fed folder wise, you got an event tomorrow. Well, that's the Canadian, calendar event. It's a red folder for Canada. Don't really usually see this impacted too much. You got the GDP for Canada, and then Wednesday could be a decent day because you got the Chairman Warsh speaking at 6 a.m. You also, this is Pacific Standard Time, by the way, so you also have the PMI at 7 a.m. And then you have Thursday. So you got a couple red folder days. You got non-farm employment, employment rate. If we are bullish for the month, the first week is always, or sorry, yeah, the first week is always where you want to see it bearish. So if you are bullish for the month, I would like to see this week be bearish. I would like to see us hit that 57.3 and get a bounce from there if we were going to be bullish for the month. Usually the non-farm employment is, and the unemployment rate is what kind of triggers the bottom for the month when we are very bullish. Obviously, we're not in that sentiment right now, but just kind of putting a positive note out there. If we're going to be bullish for July, I would like to see the bottom be in this week for the first week of the month. Anyways, guys, that is what I have for you today. As usual, if you guys want to get trading different with as the liquidity heat map goes, with the simple map and your trend diff indicator helps you trade a lot. Just it really provides a clear direction on where the market is heading. Feel free to use my code tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean. You can get a lot better read on the market than just by looking at the charts. So that's what I have for you today. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will be back tonight to provide an evening update, but that is it for now. Take care and have a wonderful day.